welcome to a brand new episode of Nostalgia Bait. I am your host for this week, Britton, and I am joined, as always, by the lovely George Sheard.
Oh my god, you got the intro right? Holy shit.
I know I did.
Oh my god.
I've done
Only
it.
took 55 episodes.
Whatever episode. Yeah, 55 episodes later. I finally did a correct intro.
Yeah.
We are here today, to discuss music. It's a music episode. Actually, quite a few people have been asking us to do another music episode after we did the top 5.
Yeah.
But this is more of like a...
We've only done it once, haven't we? We've only really done one music-related episode.
Yeah.
And I think we've got music taste. Today is not talking traditionally about, like, pop music, though.
Yeah, today we're going to discuss, still on brand, film music.
Film music.
I mean, there's a reason behind it, which we alluded to, I think, last week, that we went to see a film gala together. A film gala? A musical gala. Basically, a John Williams Film Gala was the whole title of it.
The funny thing is, you could... I can't remember the episode, but you can probably trace back. There is an episode of Nostalgia Bait.
It's Doctor Who Proms. It's the Proms episode.
It is. So you can go back to Nostalgia Bait episode... Oh, I'm going to guess 29. That's my guess. Probably wrong. Oh, it is 29. I'm such a nerd. Episode 29 of Nostalgia Bait. It is quite bad. Where we talked about going to the Doctor Who proms, and Cooper talked about going to the sort of fantasy proms. Yeah. In that episode, Cooper mentions that he's going to see a John Williams Film Gala in March 2025. And I impulsively go, yeah, well, I'm joining that. I'm going to get tickets for that. And I started looking up tickets on the podcast recording. So that's actually come and gone. And we've finally been.
Yeah,
and I've got
it's come full circle.
A film gala thing. We've been. It's happened. And yeah, it just, I guess it inspired us to want to talk about film music and some of the highs and lows, as well as the actual experience of going to this film gala in Sunderland, of all places.
George is the perfect person to discuss film music with, because this man can hear the first note of any film music song and he'll know the hour, the minute, and the second. Yeah, I know. We joked about this when we were there.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, to be fair, did we?
Yeah, because I made the joke of saying, like, you could hear the first note of like any either Doctor Who music song or any certain.
You know what it was? It was when we were in
the
in the restaurant beforehand. And, like, very, very quietly started playing, and I was like, this is the theme to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And I could rattle that off quite confidently, is that it's very specifically the Temple of Doom. And specifically the sort of mid to ending of the film. But yeah, I enjoy my film scores. I think
I do as well.
It's very, like, my Spotify Wrapped, which I don't think we discussed on the podcast last year, but I think...
No, we didn't actually.
Which is weird. I don't know why we didn't. That's easy content. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, do you know why we probably didn't do it? Because I reckon 90% of the audience could probably guess what our Spotify Wrapped was going to look like.
Murray Gold, yeah. But what I was going to say was that, like, most of my... And for the last few years, a lot of my Spotify Wrapped is, like, kind of half and half. Half and half, like, music, like, artists, and half with, like, composers. I listen to a lot of film and TV score, and I listen to mainly, we're talking like the Westworld soundtrack, the Doctor Who soundtrack, the Star Wars soundtrack. So it tends to be John Williams, Murray Gold, and Ramin Djawadi. All of which, the GOATs, by the way. Other than Murray Gold, I got a bit of a love-hate relationship with Murray Gold. But yeah, I am a bit of a film music nerd. I do like that. I do analyze that, and I think for a long time before I got into listening to albums and artists, like, I would find songs through films. Like, I would only really enjoy songs when I've heard it in a film or a TV show, and I can associate it with something like visual, right? In my mind,
isn't that your story with Westworld? Like that?
Because I hadn't listened to Radiohead before Westworld, and before you get your pitchforks out, I mean, I was 15, like, I just hadn't come across them yet. But Westworld had 3 or 4 Radiohead covers in the first season soundtrack. So then by that, I listened to the soundtrack, love it, go and listen to the songs, and then start to fall in love with Radiohead. And now OK Computer is one of my favourite albums of all time, notably the album with the most Westworld covers in it, I would say. Yeah. Which is just happens to be, I think.
I think the only composer I've ever had on my Spotify Wrapped, which I think was at number 5 a couple of years ago, is Ludwig Göransson.
Ludwig Göransson, yeah. Interesting.
Because of Mandalorian.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because the first season of Mando, it was around when the first season of Mando came out.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know if it's
Or
ever
first,
been in
second
mine.
season.
I feel like I've not listened to the. It's like however much I listen to the Mandalorian soundtrack, I'll listen to the Star Wars soundtrack more. So John Williams is always going to take that number one spot for me. I've got this. I see. This is where I start to think, well, maybe there's something undiagnosed in me there, where I'm like, I have these like very specifically ordered playlists in my Spotify, which is just like chronological TV show and film soundtracks, right? So like the Star Wars soundtrack that I've got, and it's public, you can find it. I might even link it somewhere on Twitter or whatever, or in the Discord. My chronological Star Wars playlist is Star Wars music in chronological order, and it's about 24 hours long.
And made this
over many years, yes.
Yeah. Did you
curated?
Do you just know the order that they come in the movies and stuff, or do you know? Or did you like Google a list of like?
No, I know.
Okay.
But I think as a Star Wars fan, you probably would know as well, because you just remember when things happen. So there's 515 tracks in here, and it's a 27-hour long playlist.
Is it just all the movies? It's all the movies.
It's all the best of.
Yeah. What's a 1 through 8?
I do need to go through. I need to like sort of. Oh no! The best of the music. No, there's every project in here has something. I need to like. I need to iron through, like taking out some, because the entire Ahsoka soundtrack's in there, and I need to get rid of some of that because I don't. You know when it's like when I skip it every time, it's not the same. Yeah. But like it starts, for example, with like Acolyte, then the Birth of Ahsoka episode of Tales of the Jedi.
Oh my god.
And then like the Dooku stuff, and then Phantom Menace, and then halfway through Phantom Menace you get the other Dooku stuff which takes place alongside. Then you get Attack of the Clones, Clone Wars, some Tales of the Empire stuff, and then you get the Revenge of the Sith soundtrack alongside the Clone Wars.
I love that this
Season
is
7
up to date,
finale.
by the way. I love that this is up to date.
Oh yeah, fully. And it goes all the way through. I mean, you get like Bad Batch, and then you get Tales of the Empire, more Bad Batch. Like, what else we got in here that's interesting? Solo, more Bad Batch, more Tales of the Empire, the Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor,
as well. Very nice.
Obi-Wan, Andor, Rebels, all the way through to the original trilogy. And then you got like Mandalorian again, Tales of the Empire again, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, too much Ahsoka, if you ask me. Far too much Ahsoka, if you ask me. Skeleton Crew, then the sequel trilogy, including the Battlefront 2 soundtrack. Like, there's everything in there. Good. I'll send it to you. Yeah. I do spend time curating it. Like, I put it together, like, honestly, like 5 years ago. And then I've just added to it.
Just when you did your rewatch?
Yeah, it is literally when I did that, because I think that's when I sort of fell in love with the music again.
Yeah.
I love it. I love analysing it, and I love just... I don't know. I think you get more of a kick when you recognise things in film, in music, in film. I like to think that when you
like and stuff.
When you recognise motifs, when you recognise those moments, it hits even better. That's why it's good to have like a good theme behind something and a good.
I think the first. I mean, this isn't. It's technically a film score. Technically, my first like proper one where I started to notice the motifs was Les Mis, because
no, but that's
obviously
fair.
Les Mis
that's so
great, many, and obviously
Les Mis is a great example of like leitmotif, but also like they just reuse just the pieces of music and change the words. Like there's almost like if you look at the entire musical, there's like half a musical worth of like original songs, and they just copy them and just swap out the lyrics. But the choices that are made there are very clever.
Or mix them as well.
Like,
it's the same scores, but they mix them.
Valjean's soliloquy at the beginning of the musical versus like Javert's suicide at the end of the film. It's the same piece of music, but sung by these two opposing characters in different places in their life where they're coming across, a big change in their life.
But that was the first one, because I had a conversation with my sister after, because we went to see the Les Mis concert in December, I think it was. And we had a conversation about it, and she was like, I've never noticed, because she's performed it and everything and seen it multiple times. And she was like, I've never
took me a while. Yeah, I think it's, but that's when it becomes really interesting, and maybe that's just like some certain people find it interesting, some people just don't give a shit. But like for me, like I love picking that shit apart and going, that's really cool that they've done that. There's more depth to it, and I think it's important in film scoring to have that. Like when
it is.
when I talked to the film that I released recently, Small Talks, that they're like my sort of first short film. When I worked with Chris,
available on YouTube,
available on YouTube now.
And the score's available on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. So the score is available on Spotify. That's not what I was trying to promote, but actually just in terms of the creative process there, because I have such like a passion for like film music, when I worked with Chris on that and I was kind of like giving a bit of direction, a lot of it very much was like, I want, like, there's different instruments in that score that represent the different characters. And it's very subtle and like no one will probably notice it, but I want to make it like how it should be done, where there's layers to it and there's depth to it, where you've got like this instrument is one person's theme, this instrument is the other person's theme, and as they come together, the two themes land on top of each other and create like an overall piece, and that is the overall piece of the film. The piece of music is that, and you can separate and isolate those two layers, and they work as sort of separate pieces.
Very clever. And
it's sort of, you bring it together. It's nice. It's been done thousands of times, but it's clever. A layer of depth where it's like, I like that and I want that, and that was for me very like a big thing. You can just write music. You can just put like a tune together, make it sound emotional, but like to really have a level of depth is like you need a good composer for that, and there are a lot of excellent composers in film that get recognized and some that don't get recognized as well. But yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very, very nice. I've never thought about it like that. I do enjoy, like, I think as well for me, it comes from video game music as well.
Yeah.
Because, like,
exactly
so many video games have amazing scores.
Yeah. It comes all the way back from...
where it comes back from me,
It comes all the way back from classical music.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, basically.
I can't remember what it was. It was the Doctor Who proms. I think Murray Gold was asked a question about, like... He was like, where did you... I can't remember what the exact question was, but it was a really funny answer where he was basically asked like, where did you like come up like how did you come up with the ideas of doing all these like individual themes for like and motifs for all these characters throughout the show, and like where did that come from? And I think he just went Wagner. And it's like because classical music is like the OG of what film music is now. That's the new version of classical music.
Have you seen that Dan TDM is doing an hour segment on Classical FM of video game music?
Have
you seen this?
That's so good.
Sunday,
I have seen that. That's really
at like
cool.
8:00. Yeah, an hour segment just goes through like his favorites. Like he plays like the Minecraft, or he's played so many like loads of the Portal ones and stuff.
I love
it's
that.
amazing.
Oh yeah, again,
such a clever idea.
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed.
Ezio's
family
score.
theme, there's like some classic bits in there that are just incredible.
I've got a playlist on Spotify which is a mixture of video game music and like my favorite scores from movies and stuff.
Oh, a bit of everything.
That's a mixture of like a mix of both because I don't have enough of either to.
Yeah.
But that's like a mixture of like some of the Destiny scores, like.
And I'm playing like Mario Galaxy again
ones
at the minute.
Mario
Galaxy has a lot of fantastic pieces of music in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of iconic pieces of music, like a lot of the Mario games do anyway. Crash Bandicoot, I think, has some fantastic soundtracks to it.
Oh my, yeah. The OG.
What else we got here? Jetpack Joyride. Fuck off. Even like the Spider-Man games and stuff, like that. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've got like a mixture of like Final Fantasy ones, Baldur's Gate ones, because some of them are amazing. A lot of like, I've got like Interstellar, Oppenheimer, because those are just two of the most goated scores that have ever graced my ears.
Yeah.
Duel of Fate, obviously. Original The Forrest Gump, the Am Forest score is beautiful.
Film scores playlist is going to be dangerously long as well.
I've got loads, like even like the Game of Thrones and Westworld as well, like all that's
TV,
in there as well.
Yeah. There's some really amazing pieces. I'm trying to think of like soundtracks I've talked about before. I mean, I mentioned in our like favorite albums of all time, I mentioned a soundtrack which was the Local Hero soundtrack.
Yes,
and that's written and composed by Mark Knopfler, who is Geordie born and bred. Let's go.
Yeah.
He
represent.
He wrote this soundtrack for this film, which is a gorgeous soundtrack, and again would urge anyone to listen to it. But the final piece of that, the theme going home, is the piece of music that Newcastle players walk out to when they come on the pitch to play. So that's like, it's quite a big thing, I guess, for, like, in the Northeast. And we talked about that at the time. Is like, even though you've never had you've never really followed football that closely, it is a piece of music that does resonate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? With any Geordie.
Oh, mate, I love it. I love it so much. I love the Local Hero song so much. It's gorgeous. It's fucking unbelievable. I'm hoping when I go and see Sam Fender that he might do it as like his walkout song.
I think he probably will. You've seen it at St James's Park?
That's where I'm seeing it.
Oh, we will then. Yeah,
he has to. It's absolutely gonna. Do you have like a favorite score, like a favorite movie score, or?
It's a really hard question though. Like it's really hard because, like Star Wars as a whole, I don't know if I'd probably say like. I don't know. I think. Probably like if I had to pick one Star Wars film, like I don't think I could, but I'd probably say Empire Strikes Back as like the soundtrack.
That's
even
fair,
still, because you think about the amount of new pieces of music that were composed for that film and how many of them are now like phenomenally iconic. You've got like Yoda's theme, you've got the Imperial March, you've got Han and Leia's theme, like there's so many fantastic pieces of music in there. But then I don't know if beyond that, it's really hard, and I'd probably say Local Hero because it's something that's like different and it's important to me. But then
mine changes depending on what season it is. Basically, it's either Oppenheimer or Interstellar.
The Oppenheimer soundtrack is very good.
I'm surprised the Oppenheimer soundtrack wasn't on my Spotify Wrapped because I used to listen to it when I was revising for uni. That used to be like my go-to like brain power song, my like brain power music. But the Interstellar one as well, like it's so perfect.
Interstellar, I think, is actually probably one of the best soundtracks ever written for film. I think it's the emotion that I feel just listening to it says a lot about how not just that though. It is,
Interstellar is one of the greatest soundtracks ever written because of the actual theory behind it as well. The amount of theory that goes into Interstellar to perfectly match wherever they are, whether it's the wormhole, about the stuff about Miller's planet when they go and
and every time there's like a tick, it's like
it's every second and a half is like a day on Earth or something like that, and it ticks
every second.
I'm not even funny.
Yeah, the soundtrack is very clever,
genius. It's genius. Like, and even like Cornfield Chase is so perfect. Like it's one of those scores, one of those soundtracks that like shouldn't match the movie as well as it does, and it just does. Like it's just so perfect. Like I can't explain.
Is very like grandiose and out there. It's so clever and it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
As much as I'm not a big fan of Hans Zimmer as a person, I think his music is fucking incredible, and that can't be denied. Like he's very good.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I feel like for me, it's almost like the holy trinity of composers in my eyes. You've got John Williams, you've got then Hans Zimmer, and then I think Ludwig Göransson's going to be the new like.
I don't know, man. I love Ludwig Göransson. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like. I don't know. I'm not like properly sold yet, but like I think I just need more time because I think that's also just like personal perspective. I just haven't listened to as much of his music. I think he's brilliant, mind. I do. Yeah. Ludwig Göransson. What has he done other than Oppenheimer and Mando,
Tenet,
Black Panther?
Yeah, Black Panther's fucking amazing.
Yeah, like he's done some good stuff. I'm like, I'm like with that. I'm trying to work out like what else in terms of like composers, because there's so many. I mean, we can't turn a nose up to Danny Elfman.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he's phenomenal. Not just in terms of his like the fucking Batman theme, man. You play Lego Batman as a kid, and the entire soundtrack of that game is fucking Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
You've got the Spider-Man soundtrack. That's all Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
The fucking sounds crazy, but the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory soundtrack, that's Danny Elfman. That's crazy good as well. Michael Giacchino. We've talked about this man before. We've done this on an episode before where I rattle through his filmography.
We have done this before.
And he is, again, the GOAT. He's done so much. I mean, in terms of recognisable film soundtracks, he's definitely up there. Like, you've got Your Up, you've got Inside Out, Incredibles.
Up. Oh my god.
You got fucking... What else we got on here? Rogue One, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, fucking Incredibles 2,
even
The Batman, Rogue One.
Yeah,
like there's some good shit here. He's great. He's the GOAT. I think there's a lot of phenomenal stuff like that. I think like I've definitely grown recently to appreciate Ramin Djawadi even more.
Yeah.
He was a GOAT anyway, but I just absolutely... It was why when watching Game of Thrones, I could appreciate that even more.
Yeah. I think we also have to give claim to... Oh, I'd like to give claim to Joe Hisashi, who does all the Studio Ghibli movies.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not as familiar, but yeah.
Oh, the soundtracks that he does for all those movies. Like, they're so famous. Like, the Totoro soundtrack, the theme for Totoro is so synonymous. Like, that kind of stuff. Howl's Moving Castle. I love it so much.
Yeah. Howl's Moving Castle has a great soundtrack.
It's so good.
It does have a good soundtrack.
Like, the main theme of Howl's Moving Castle is one of my... It's like up there as one of my favourites of any movie.
I see who else. Nicholas Britell.
Mm-hmm.
He did Andor. He's done Succession.
Oh yeah,
those are his biggest ones at the minute. If Beale Street Could Talk, he also did. Very like, I think Up and Coming is another absolute like all timer. Like trying to think who else.
I mean, should we talk about the actual GOAT of film composing, John Williams, and talk about?
Yeah, I would like to talk about John Williams.
To talk about the gala and what this the set list was and stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about that. So, the experience anyway. I mean, this was exciting. We didn't know what the set list was going in. We had to buy a program to do that.
I knew a few that they were going to do.
Yeah, you'd have a guess they're going to do some Star Wars and they're going to do some Indiana Jones. But the choices, I think, were really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, pardon me. So the set list, and we could talk about what we thought of each of them, I guess, as we go through. As a piece, generally, but also hearing it live, I think, is also quite important. So the first one, we started off with the Raiders March from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Man, like, we'll come back to Indiana Jones. We'll come back to Indiana Jones because I fucking love the soundtrack, man.
Yeah, it's like you can't
you can't go wrong.
Like,
you literally cannot go wrong with that. When little fun fact, when I graduated uni, at our graduation ceremony, it was like an orchestra at the front, and they played the Raiders March as we were leaving. So that's the only one that I've actually heard already live.
Yeah.
That's it was fantastic. But that's a good. Yeah, that's a great piece of music. It's iconic, and was because it's the Raiders March from the end of the film. You get not just the sort of main Indiana Jones sort of motif title theme, but you get like all the other pieces of music in that film as well. Yeah. The only thing... I'm going to go straight into Indiana Jones now, actually. The only thing that tops the Raiders March from me... I mean, I love pieces of music from all of the 4 original films. I'm including Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Fuck you all. Dial of Destiny is the only one where the music is actually just kind of like... I don't really... It is what it is. Like, there's nothing really that stands out to me as... I mean, it's obviously good music. It's John Williams. He's the GOAT. But, like, the 4 films, those are the ones with the iconic pieces of music for me. I think that the only thing, especially in Raiders, I think that tops the Raiders March for me is the Miracle of the Ark, I think it's called. It is the piece of music that plays when the Ark of the Covenant is opened and all the Nazis fucking die and the faces melt and all that sort of thing. And it's fucking amazing. It's so good. It's so grandiose and fantastic and terrifying and brilliant. And something I mentioned, I think, to you in the car on the way to the gala was something I'd noticed about John Williams that was really interesting, is you can kind of tell the different eras he's in.
We had this conversation, didn't we? Because we were talking about, what movie was it? Pirates of the Caribbean and Gladiator.
Yeah, because
we had this conversation.
Because that was the same thing with, like, that was Hans Zimmer, wasn't it? Where it's like he's done the Pirates of the Caribbean theme and then he'd sort of done a motif of that in...
Because as true British tourists, when me and my dad went to Rome last month, what did we do? We went to the Colosseum. What did we do in the night time? We watched Gladiator, right? And as all good British tourists, and when we were, because it's been years since I've seen Gladiator, when we were listening to it, I was like, there was a bit in it, and I was like, wow, that really sounds like the Pirates of the Caribbean main theme basically. But I was like, oh yeah, it kind of does. So we get to Googling like the composers and stuff, and we were like, yep, it is. I was like, yep, this doesn't surprise me at all. Like it 100%. And even I think we all said it when we were like even during the interval, we were like, when you hear a load of his music back to back to back to back, you start to pick up on like the same instruments, the same chords, like that kind of stuff that you can kind of hear.
John Williams has a style, and he is very multifaceted, and he's able to sort of lend that to whatever it needs. But I think just in terms of the style of music and like the iconography, I think you can kind of tell. And I think the big one for me is the comparison between Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Saying that all the Star Wars films, like the main 9 Star Wars films, have the same sound to them is probably right. But there is I think there's a level of intricacy that separates them. The original score is it's much more classical music. It's very obviously all of it's orchestral, but it's very much more of that sort of that classical vibe. The prequels has a very sort of loud, bombastic sort of feel to it. It's very exciting. It's very
but I think it's
energetic.
It's supposed to reflect the movies, isn't it? It's supposed to reflect like that has to be bigger because of its obviously like the peak of like the Jedi Order and like
these like these pieces of music that are used just for what would have sort of not really, because like in the original films that you had like character pieces and motifs for these characters and pieces of music that went through, but like with the prequels they sort of give like they have a very specifically Duel of the Fates is like for that fight scene, Battle of the Heroes for that fight scene. They have like big bits of music for like moments that wouldn't traditionally have got music. I guess well, it would have got music, but it wouldn't have been as like big of a deal. And then the sequel trilogy is whatever. Has some great music. I'm not trying to we'll get to that, but there is a point in this, by the way. I think the original Indiana Jones trilogy and the original Star Wars trilogy have a very similar sound, and I think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull soundtrack, although people don't like the film, fine. I mean, rewatch it; it is good. But when
I still love that movie.
People rattle on it, but it is so. It still feels like a great film because it's still Spielberg and it's still got that same look and feel to it. When you listen to the soundtrack of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you should realize that there's a lot of bangers in that fucking soundtrack, and a lot more frequently than in some of the original scores. There's a lot of great themes for characters and moments, and even the Crystal Skull itself has a great theme. And yeah, I think that is on the same level as the prequels for me in terms of like it's bigger, it's bombastic, it's louder, and that reflects the time because that was made in like 2008. That was like the next project after he did Revenge of the Sith, right? So like it kind of lines up, and I just think it's really interesting. You can kind of see the eras that he's in, and it's probably reflective in some of his other films as well. Like a lot of the stuff that he did, and like Harry Potter, which is the next track in the list, Hedwig's theme. That's very reflective, I thought, of like the prequels in terms of loud
like
and
Twin Sons, like oh, sorry, prequels. Yeah. I think it's a mix, isn't it? Because it starts.
It's
starts
different.
very
it
much
is
like
different.
The original. Yeah, it kind of bleeds between both, I guess, because it's very much. It starts off very chilled, kind of like the originals, like Leia's theme, like Twin Sons, but then rapidly flies up to close up like a Duel of the Fates.
I think the opening of the Hedwig's theme is very. Like, I love how it's sort of very mysterious and very kind of whimsical and kind of like they have that not the main theme, but like the sort of the backing of it where it's like, like very like ranging.
I like that it builds as well.
Yeah.
Like every time it repeats itself, it adds something like a new instrument. And it keeps going.
And then you have the section which is like like very like loud.
Yeah.
And that's prequel Star Wars in my mind. Like when I heard that, I was like, when that crashes in, that's very much like there's that energy. Whereas like you start mysterious and then you've got that exciting action adventure energy. And I think that completely encapsulates like the original Harry Potter.
It's so similar to like the like even the pacing of it and everything.
Oh yeah. It's like the speed of it. Yeah, 100%. So I thought that was actually surprisingly good to hear live. I do like Hedwig's theme anyway, but like that was very exciting to hear live played on an orchestra.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's actually a very good piece of music. Followed by the shark theme from Jaws.
That was so good to hear live.
Yeah.
I loved.
But again, people forget that it's relatively complex. People forget how complex the theme is. It's not just dun. It's not.
I should have pulled the Jaws vinyl off the wall to flex it again.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, but that's like that people expect that. I think people think when they think of the Jaws theme, they think of that motif those like two notes, but actually the actual full piece is like it got a lot in it. It's good.
Yeah,
it's great.
I can't believe Jaws is 50. It's 50 years for Jaws this year.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Lucky,
it's crazy.
One of their first. I think it was one of Spielberg's first films, wasn't it? Jaws.
It must be, surely.
Must be, yeah. Because Star Wars isn't 50 years. Not Star Wars. Indiana Jones isn't.
Would be 75. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1975. In what's original? Yeah.
Oh God, the original Star Wars is going to be 50 in like 2 years.
Crikey.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Wow.
Then you got the Home Alone, Somewhere in My Memory, which is a great bit of music. I don't love this piece of music. I think I do, but it's just like when you're sat in March listening to it, it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like,
it was
very Christmassy. Yeah, of course, it's amazing to hear live. All of these were amazing to hear live, but it was like, I don't know. I've just not. I don't fuck with this piece of music after.
I'm just having a look to see if I can work out what is first. So his first score was Fiddler on the Roof in 1971, really? And then Jaws was 1975.
Yeah,
and then I believe, then Close Encounters of the 13th Kind and Star Wars were the same year.
Of the 13th kind.
30 fucking not the 13th kind. 13.
That's good.
Yeah.
Home Alone was good.
And then Jaws 2.
Yeah, Jaws 2. Somewhere in My Memory, it's a great piece of music. It's really amazing, and it's sort of played, but it's sort of part of like a Christmas playlist for me now. It's like in my head, it's like it would be like you hearing Michael Bublé sing Christmas songs now in March. I'm sure you wouldn't complain, but the same point is like it feels out of season almost when you've just come off the back of Christmas.
Yeah. I'm glad they still did it though.
No, 100%. It's an iconic part of his repertoire. So yeah, of course. The Superman main theme, classic.
So like, I was like, do I know? I know for a fact I knew it. And I was like, I can't think off the top of my head what it is. And then it did that, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's been used so much. I think it's probably been used more than you give it credit for. Like in terms of as a Superman theme. Probably not being. That is what it is, but that's definitely been like bought by like ITV and BBC at different points to be used on shit like Britain's Got Talent over the years. I'm sure it's definitely been put like whacked in there like fucking the Doctor Who soundtrack in The Apprentice. Like it just kind of gets thrown in there.
I love it, like the superhero themes. Like some superheroes still to this day have like their themes. Like no matter how many times they rescore it or whatever, they will have like a certain. Everyone knows like a certain theme song. Yeah.
You can't redo it, but that's the thing is everyone will complain about this. Everyone was like complaining that they did like a bit of a mix of the Superman theme in the new Superman trailer, going, I can't do. But actually, they're very cleverly doing like something with it. So the new Superman film, which is coming out this year, they're taking the original bit of music and the motif and making a new piece of music with it. So they're only using a bit of the motif.
Electric guitar. Oh my! It was so good in that trailer.
But the thing is, everyone was sort of criticizing it for going like, "Oh, you can't." But the thing is, I don't think you can escape it. I think no matter what, you hear that bit of music, you're like, "That is Superman." You're not appealing to nostalgia, but they're taking this motif and they're doing something new with it. They're making a new track and then tacking that motif on. So you'll hear this gorgeous piece of music, and then there's a little bit of it which tells you this is still Superman, and you go,
"Oh, you rewatch the trailer, brilliant." I need to hear that electric guitar riff again.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Schindler's List.
This could potentially be my favorite.
It was amazing.
It was,
but the thing is, like, it's a gorgeous piece of music. Like, I knew when that was coming up, I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna cry." I didn't, but it is a fucking heart wrenching piece of music. Like whether you're watching the film or not, it is a really like sad bit of music, but the absolute skill of having the solo violinist on stage playing that, absolutely phenomenal. Let's give him credit.
That was
Jonathan
Stone,
who was the leader solo violinist of that gala. Fucking amazing. Really bloody talented.
It was gorgeous. That piece of music. Because I only watched this list for the first time 2 years ago.
Really?
Year and a half ago, maybe. I watched this after I went and saw Schindler's Factory. That was the first time I watched it.
Right, I see.
Which I knew the story and everything, but I watched it for the first time, and it's gorgeous.
It's amazing as a film. It's amazing. It's difficult to watch. I mean, it's 3 hours. You're in that world. But it's probably one of the most immersively brilliant films. You know, one of my favourite film facts, and like just again, to not only how good Steven Spielberg is, but like specifically talking about John Williams as well. Schindler's List and Jurassic Park released in the same year.
Really?
Yep.
Jesus.
I don't know the production timeline for those films, but it is assumed that they were being worked on at this, like a similar time, especially in terms of music. So John Williams comes off the back of fucking Jurassic Park and then pulls together a theme for Schindler's List that's equally as brilliant and just like iconic, and same with Steven Spielberg. I mean, God, you can only aspire to be that level of goat. To be able to
literally
like
that level of
Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in the same year, completely different types of films, but both equally brilliant and iconic and deserving of their flowers.
Oh my god, here we go. Best Academy Awards for Best Original Musical Award. E.T. What was that? E.T. Schindler's List. What's that other one? 1970. I don't know. I can't say it. Mate, it's so good. So good. I was like, I hope he's won awards for this.
Yeah. Warhorse.
It's been years since
I've only seen it once. I saw it in year 6.
It was probably around the same time I watched it.
I think. I watched it and I was probably 11 years old. And I'm not that familiar with the music. I will say, it was a gorgeous piece of music. My only problem with it was so gorgeous that I was starting to fall asleep. That's only because
I was the same.
Because it was so warm melodic. And like comfy in there, and I was really like comfy, and it was like dark, dimly lit. The music was like really relaxing. I was like, I am gonna nod off because it's like a 10-minute track. It was really long, like it went on. Like I don't know how long. Though. This Dartmoor 1912.
Yeah.
Dartmoor 1912.
It was gorgeous though.
It's only a 6-minute track. I'm being dramatic.
Damn. Now, at least you know if you ever need to fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that just sounds like a diss. It's not. It's a fantastic bit of music, but it was just really relaxing. And then we ended the first half of the show with E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the flying theme and finale, which is just iconic. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the E.T. theme, man. Iconic as fuck. I love it.
E.T. I love E.T. so much.
Such a great piece of music, and
so
absolutely
good.
Loved it. We then had the interval, and then Hook, Flight to Neverland. So the first 4 of the second half I've never heard before, and I haven't seen the films, so I'm very like.
It was,
but they were amazing.
Hook, I think I've saw years ago again.
Hook. I don't know why I'm taking the piss out of your accent because that's
I don't know.
I don't know why that's happening. That's shocking for me. Sorry.
Yeah, it's poor behaviour.
It is poor behaviour because you know what? It's like it happens to me when I'm at work. It's like I'll say something and someone will like copy it back in like an accent. I'm like, "Fuck off," and they'll go,
I've been called a posh Geordie this week at work.
Fuck off! You're joking, really?
Yeah.
Genuinely?
Yeah. There's like a guy at work who keeps coming past me going, "How are you, man?" Like, "How are you, man?"
I think if you're saying "how are you," it's not
"How are you, man?"
That's another story to talk about. But I'll drop it in quickly. I went to see the West Ham game against Newcastle on Monday, just gone, and I was in the home ground, and I had to pretend not to be a Newcastle fan. Sat right next to the Newcastle fans area and in front of the goal that Newcastle scored the winner in. That was hard. But I was like talking. I put this on Twitter. I was like talking about it. It's like every time. Naturally, when I'm watching football, my accent shifts. Right? It's so weird. Whenever I'm watching football or talking about football, the accent slips more Geordie. Right? So it's really hard to keep it up. When I was sat there, I'm like, I can't help it. I'm trying to talk posher. I'm trying to talk like more southern. I can't. Completely Geordie, and every time that you try and engage, and whenever like West Ham are, I'm trying to pretend to support them, right? So I don't look sus. And then they do something, I'm like, "Oh, how way?" And I'm like, "Shit!"
It's like the ref calls a dodgy foul. You're like, "Oh, how way, man?
How way, man?" And the people around me are like, "What the fuck is this guy?" Like, because it's such a known thing, isn't it? How way? Yeah, hard. Where Memories of a Geisha. That was a gorgeous theme.
That was a gorgeous piece. I'd be really interested to watch this movie after we hear this soundtrack.
Yeah, so it's definitely your cup of tea. I don't know if I'll watch it, but the music was amazing. Sayuri's theme, beautiful piece of music. Not going to go too in detail because like I don't know it as well, but like amazing. Witches of Eastwick, Devil's Dance. That was a great bit of music. I can't remember what it reminded me of.
I think I'd heard that before.
Yeah. It was very familiar. I really liked it. It was very just like
very Harry Potter.
Yeah, well, it's very like mysterious and like
that
sort of thing. Close Encounters of the 13th Kind.
Not 13th Kind.
The main theme. Yeah, cool. Again, I've not seen the film. I've not heard the music before, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
Did you not know that one?
Nope. I thought I would,
but
I didn't. Mm-hmm. And then the Jurassic Park main theme. You can't
this
go wrong with that.
was so good.
I think the Jurassic Park theme for me is like overrated. Like I've heard it too much and I don't enjoy it as much now. But like it's still a great bit of music.
When we were in the audience and they said they were going to do
Jurassic
Park.
What the fuck happened there? Why did everyone
like
come?
as if everyone forgot that Jurassic Park was scored by John Williams.
They sort of mentioned like every other film. They're like, oh yeah, cool. And then it's Jurassic Park went and he went and mentioned Jurassic Park and they all went, and I was like, what? Why? I was like, why is everyone so shocked? Surely half the people in there have got a program.
Thing is, though, it's so hard because, like, when you hear the Jurassic Park theme, I always want, like, in my mind, I always just think of, like, welcome to Jurassic Park, and then it starts. Like,
yeah.
Because that's the clip you always see.
It's a slow build as well, which I really like.
Yeah.
I
love it.
It's amazing, yeah, classic. And then we got to the Star Wars bit, of which we got 5 Star Wars tracks. One wasn't listed. Little cheeky surprise from there.
Encore.
But I thought this was interesting because you got 9 films to pull from. It's an
interesting choice.
9 films to pull from, and they went for the first one. They went from the track called "The Rise of Skywalker" from Episode 9. Now, "The Rise of Skywalker," a good track. I think. What? Go on.
No, it's a good track.
I don't love the film. We've established this. We've talked about how much we don't like the film, right? Can I say something really interesting to you?
Yeah.
Where is it? The Rise of Skywalker was 67th in my top 100 tracks last year for Spotify.
Really?
So that's actually one I have listened to, and I'll tell you. And I'll tell you for why. I'll
tell you for why.
We did the Duel of the Fates read through. And whilst doing that, I pulled tracks from Rise of Skywalker to put in the background. And then I had a bit of a binge of just listening to the Rise of Skywalker soundtrack and being like, okay, to be fair, the Rise of Skywalker soundtrack is actually very, very good. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but it is good. Yeah. And the Rise of Skywalker piece of music, that is sort of like the key. Because every Star Wars film has like a motif behind it. Yeah. Like the film motif, right? The Rise of Skywalker is that film's motif, and it's sort of very... The thing I love about it, it's very final. It's very final. Like, it sort of comes to like a nice ending, and it feels like an ending, and I quite like that from a soundtrack perspective. On that take, by the way...
At least the music has a nice ending.
Don't worry, we're getting episodes 10, 11, and 12, Cooper.
Hey, 3 more scores. I'll take it.
Not from John Williams, though, but he's 93.
Not from John Williams, though. Yeah, it's true.
So, get that out of your head.
As well.
I don't know. He keeps saying he's retired and he keeps making more music. It's kind of hard to...
That's true, yeah.
He did Rise of Skywalker, and I think that was sort of said to be his last one. And then he did Dial of Destiny, which was supposed to be his last one. And then he came back and did the Obi-Wan theme for the TV series.
Yeah.
And then that's it now, but that has been a few years, so maybe that is it now. Just talking to Rise of Skywalker... It's very clear that at one point... I mean, do you remember that the pre-release of this film, and it was like his brother said... John Williams' brother said that John had composed like the X amount of music. It was like 3 hours of music or something, or like whatever. Yeah. It was absolutely amazing. It was amazing. It was about 3 hours of music, and it included every theme from the entire saga. And then the final soundtrack comes out, and the final film comes out, and there's not a single thing from the prequels, and... The soundtrack's only an hour and a quarter long. Disney, those fucking tracks exist. We know they exist because it was fucking... The track list was leaked before the film came out for your considerations thing for the Oscars. We know there are tracks that you've never fucking released. Disney, release them because they're going to be fucking fire. We know there's a new version of Duel of the Fates out there because they used it in one of the trailers.
Oh, yeah, using trailers.
It's never been released... Fuck off. Like, release it. Please, God, release it. Because, come on, man. Like, just release it. People would eat that shit up. It would earn more money than the fucking film did. It is such a travesty that they never released, like, a deluxe version of Rise of Skywalker soundtrack, because there's so much there that was obviously recorded, that was obviously written. Who gives a flying fuck if it was in the film or not? Just release it as an unreleased Star Wars tracks from John Williams. Maybe they'll wait till he dies. I don't know. But that's not a great sentiment. Just release it. People want that shit. People will eat that shit up.
I'm glad the Rise of Skywalker has a good score, because then at least blind people can enjoy the movie. I'm going to cut this part out. I just wanted to make that joke.
No, you're not. You're keeping that well in. Then we went to Return of the Jedi, the Forest Battle. I was a bit disappointed with this one. I can't lie. I was a bit disappointed with this one. And the only reason is because I thought it was a different track.
I know
I thought, because there is a track, right? Because if you go to the Return of the Jedi soundtrack, I think I even said to you beforehand, I thought it was something else. I thought it was the...
We had a conversation about it.
Battle of Endor. Because the Battle of Endor is like 3 parts. But there is a track called The Forest Battle. Brilliant. There is a track called The Forest Battle, but the Battle of Endor is the where it's like the bit of music that I love, where it's like I love that. That's great. But the Forest Battle is also like iconic, but it was a lot more Ewok-y, and I was like, cool. But
it is very Ewok-y.
But just again, it's just an interesting choice to go with Rise of Skywalker and then the Forest Battle. There's 2 tracks, like not even. I mean, I guess I know you couldn't do Duel of the Fates because they didn't have a choir.
Yeah, that is true.
So there's like I've
already heard it though. So
fuck you. They could have done Twin Sons.
So this is what. Well, I was going to get into
Binary Sunset. Sorry.
I would have called it Twin Sons. So, because I've heard Duel of the Fates, when I heard Duel of the Fates when I went to do the fantasy one.
Stop mentioning it.
And then there's like 3 that I wanted to hear: Duel of the Fates, Imperial March, and Binary Sunset. Twin Sons, whatever you want to call it. They're like the 3 that I'd like to hear in orchestra. So I'm waiting to hear
one day
Binary Sunset at some point.
One day. Yeah, they did play though from A New Hope. They played Princess Leia's theme. Beautiful.
This is
beautiful,
unreal.
They're like one of the best bits of music.
I forget how good it is. It is gorgeous.
I remember
it's so nice.
It was from a few years ago. It was Star Wars Celebration, I think 2017. It was the one where they were teasing all the Last Jedi stuff, I think, and it was. Yeah, it was. They were teasing all the Last Jedi stuff, and Carrie Fisher just passed away, and they were doing like a Carrie Fisher memorial thing. And then at the end of that presentation, I don't know if you remember this. It's on YouTube if you want to watch it, but it's absolutely beautiful. At the end of that,
I've seen it at some point.
At the end of that, they open like a giant curtain. There's an orchestra and John Williams stood there, and they play live a Star Wars Celebration. They play the Princess Leia theme, and it's fucking amazing. You couldn't hear a pin drop. And then they play more music from Star Wars and the main theme and all that sort of thing. But playing Princess Leia's theme is just. Yeah, it's gorgeous. And then you're sat thinking, because it's a memorial thing, you're sat thinking about Carrie Fisher as well. It makes it so much more emotional. Gorgeous bit of music. Really, really amazing. Fantastic to hear live. Star Wars main theme.
Goated. What do we have to say?
From A New Hope as well, because it sort of goes from the main theme into the opening track. We go, yeah, which is great. Love all that. Yeah. Very happy. Love it. So fun.
I've watched Star Wars movies and stuff so many times now that you can picture it. Like I can see the crawl, and I can see it get to the end of the crawl, and then you could hear when it like pans up to the sky, and then the ship will go past or whatever. Like you can just hear, you can see it, can't you?
100%. Every frame, every second, it's fantastic. And then they surprised us with the
Imperial March, which is that was not what we thought.
That was great. I love that. Yeah, I haven't heard the Imperial March live. I have a bit of a hot take on the Imperial March. I don't know if I told you this. My favourite bit of the Imperial March is the end. It sounds like a joke. It sounds like a joke, but I'm not of a dun 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 dun. Yeah, okay. The bit that I like is when it builds and it builds and it builds. Like it builds and builds and builds and builds. And then it just it's like last note. Oh, it's gorgeous. That bit is impeccably brilliant. But that was it for the film gala. that was an amazing event that we went to, and I was really, really happy with that. It was amazing. Shout out as well to Stephen Bell, who we haven't mentioned, who was the conductor.
He was good. Can we just
There was a huge element of class in that. Like, he was very... what I loved about it is, because they didn't have a screen up showing bits of the films, but he gave a little talk before and after each track, basically, to sort of present...
funny guy as well.
Yeah, funny.
Cracking jokes.
Yeah, it's a good script. Like, he was doing a good job. Like, he was phenomenally introduced these tracks and these films and give a real insight, but also open that world and that imagination. You're really thinking about it. Felt like one of those like really good lectures. Do you know what I mean? I really liked it. Like, he kind of owned the room a little bit, as a conductor should. A conductor's job is to sort of like do a fucking good job with the timing, and sort of give yourself some good introductions and outroductions, and then also finally bring the vibe. And he fucking did that.
He brought the vibe.
It's just you gotta feel that energy from the conductor, and I love that.
Do you know what my favorite thing about him when he was conducting was when he do his little jumps? He'd did
little jumps.
He'd do everyone and he'd jump, and I was like, this guy's goated. I was like, this is so good. When you go to orchestras, like, what do you watch? Like, do you like pan across the whole orchestra? Do you focus? I'm so focused on watching the conductor. It's unbelievable.
I do a bit of everything. I when a new bit of music comes in, I look at them. And then I go look back at the conductor. I just come back to the conductor, but I sort of bounce around. Yeah. I'm also trying to work out what bits of music is playing. I hyper-focus.
Fascinating.
Because when you listen to the track, I don't think you hyper-focus on the instruments. When you can see it live, you can focus on the instruments. When I hear the violins kick in, then I'm watching them play. I'm watching how they're like a sound that I'm so familiar with. I'm watching them make that and what that looks like. I've never thought about that, and that to me is really interesting. I think especially
with you, when you know that it's coming, like if you know a certain like motif or something's going to kick in, you can watch them like begin and see how, like, see the timing and everything, which I quite enjoyed as well.
But yeah, and also
again the conductor,
the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra.
True,
gorgeous. The goats. Yeah, an incredible event. And if you're able to see this tour, if it is touring, I think it is. Please do go and check it out. It was amazing. We had a fantastic time. Yeah, a lot of fun to be had. There was something else.
Cute date.
Yeah, it was a cute little date, wasn't it?
It was a cute little date, yeah.
Double date, bear in mind. I mean, we didn't. Double date. We can specify that we did go with our partners.
Yeah, we did go with our partners. Yeah,
which we've not mentioned at all up until this point. Oh dear. But yeah,
yeah,
I love it.
I need to start listening to more film music again, man.
You do, man. I'll send you my fucking ridiculous length playlist.
You send me the Star Wars one, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I need to watch I need to watch Rise of Skywalker again. I need to watch it. I know what has to be done, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
If we're gonna do it, we're gonna have to do something with that. Commentary track. Watch Rise of Skywalker. Commentary track. Yeah. Commentary track of Rise of Skywalker.
I watched Force Awakens and Last Jedi last year and just never watched Rise of Skywalker.
I understand.
I said I'm gonna watch all three of them, just never did.
But if you don't want to watch Rise of Skywalker, you could listen to our 3-hour script reading of Duel of the Fates, which is heavily edited and has concept art and sound effects and everything. It's now available on the on the George Sheard YouTube channel and on Nostalgia Bait Spotify. You can check that out right now, and it's very, very good.
Of course,
cool. I think there was something else. There was something else I wanted to say, but I've forgotten what it was. So that's fun, and that'll probably come back to me in 10 minutes, and that's going to be really annoying.
That's fine. But you can just interrupt me. I give you permission.
When don't I?
Interrupt. That's true. Yeah, that's basically true. This week, so I went digging for this news story because it came across it was either Twitter or Instagram feed, and I was like, why haven't we spoken about this on Just News yet? You might know this because it was really famous when this happened.
All right.
George, are you an avid chess player?
Oh no. Not avid, but I can play chess.
You can play chess. Do you know about a scandal that happened in the back end of 2023?
Ooh.
Or not a scandal, it's more of a theory that came across.
Maybe. Yes.
Okay.
Go on.
I will start, and then chess grandmaster Hans Niemann denies using vibrating sex toys to cheat.
Yes, I do know this one, because
you do know this.
It's Always Sunny did an episode on it.
Did they?
Yeah, they did it where they submitted Danny DeVito into a chess competition and stuck a vibrating fucking butt plug up his arse.
There was a YouTuber who actually did this, you know. Like there's a YouTuber.
I think that must be against terms of service. Jesus Christ.
What's his name? I can't remember his name. Is he from South Africa?
I
can't remember his name. Anyway,
an
American grandmaster who was part of a row which rattled the world of chess has denied using a vibrating sex toy to cheat. In September 2022, Hans Niemann sat down to play Norwegian grandmaster Magnus Carlsen, the greatest chess player, by the way, on the planet.
Okay.
In chess's Sinquefield Cup, St. Louis, Missouri. Niemann won, but was accused by Carlsen of cheating, a claim which sparked a huge legal row between the pair. The pair settled an $100 million or £79 million lawsuit last month. Wow. On Monday evening, Niemann spoke to Piers Morgan Uncensored
about the
I
wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, to be honest.
About the scrutiny he has faced since being accused of cheating. It is very disheartening to be accused of cheating after that victory, he said. These things happen, and I managed to learn a lot during that time, and it really has taught me a lot of very important lessons about life and chess. Niemann told Morgan he believed the last year has strengthened his resolve, and he insisted to the host that he did not cheat. Morgan continued talking about claims that Niemann was getting signals from someone through a remote-controlled sex toy. To be clear, on the specific allegation, have you ever used anal beads while playing chess? Morgan asked. The 20-year-old replied, well, your curiosity is a bit concerning, you know. Maybe you're personally interested, but I cannot tell you no. Categorically no, of course not.
The whole thing is just... The whole thing
funny.
Is crazy.
It's a funny accusation.
So the idea is, that someone was sat down playing chess with a grandmaster, and he won.
So the idea is, Magnus Carlsen is the greatest chess player on earth, and very rarely, as far as I'm aware, very rarely loses matches. Mm-hmm. This, not very well known at the time, guy comes in, also grandmaster, of course, beats Magnus Carlsen, and Magnus Carlsen's like, you have cheated. There is no way you of your level could have beat me. So then the theory started going around that basically Hans Niemann had vibrating anal beads, and he somehow had, this is a mad conversation, he somehow had a like basically like a strategy of like, if this amount of like these signals mean you move this here, or you move this amount of spaces and this amount of spaces otherwise. Yeah. And basically there was someone outside of the match who essentially had like a chess computer up, which would tell you the best move to do based on what Magnus has just done, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. And that it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, checks out, there's no other way, there's probably the only way you could sneak something in like that to help you. I think that's fucking mental.
There's more
to
this. Online platform chess.com was also sued by Niemann after investigation by the firm claimed he had likely cheated in more than 100 games online. Niemann admitted that he had cheated twice in the online matches of chess.com, aged 12 and 16, but denied he had done so in the cup or in any in-person game. He filed the defamation lawsuit in October 2022 against Carlsen, chess.com, and Hikaru Nakamura, the US Grandmaster, who Niemann accused of amplifying and attempting to bolster Carlsen's false cheating claim. That case was later dismissed, leading to out-of-court discussions to resolve the issue. Last month, chess.com said it stood by its reports on Niemann, including that we found no determinative evidence that he has cheated in any in-person games. Carlsen, 32, said he acknowledged and understood the report, including its statement that there is no determinative evidence or wrongdoing by his rival. Fuck me.
They couldn't work out whether he had a vibrating butt plug up his ass, but I don't know where that came from. Did that come from the accusation, or is that just because that is career ruining? That is reputation and career ruining.
Floating anyway, and then Piers Morgan picked it up, and then it got picked up even more by other online chess players and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny. I remember when
this was always so funny.
It's a very funny story. The Always Sunny did an episode about it, which I think is worth watching because it's very funny. Where it's like a similar concept where they basically just get Danny DeVito they try and get Danny DeVito to win like a world championship of chess by sticking a sex toy up his arse. It's season 16, episode 4, Frank versus Russia. And yeah, basically. Yeah, it's a good... You know what? It's not even a bad episode. It's a pretty solid episode because it sort of takes, like, the classic, like, concept, but it also takes something that happens in the real world, but then kind of doing it in Always Sunny, and that's worth a watch. And that was sort of my key memory. Because when did this actually happen?
End of 2022, I think.
Yeah, because this episode came out in June 2023.
Yeah.
Which is it's funny. That's really funny to me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There you go.
Amazing.
Yeah. I just thought it was such a story.
It's a great story, and I'm glad we've got a chance to give it a spot on Just
when it came out.
He deserves a chance to.
It was mega.
Yeah.
All like my YouTube feed and everything was like, it was mega. All my Instagram and stuff was like just memes of like of just stuff about this, like things that you could use.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching and or listening to this episode of Nostalgia Bit. If you are listening on Spotify, please leave us a hearty 5-star review and follow if you aren't, because it really, really helps on that side. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave us a like. Leave us a comment about your favourite scores from your favourite movies.
Do that, actually.
Love
like
to know.
Recommendations,
Yeah, that is true. Next week, we are going to be discussing a movie which also has a great score.
Which we haven't mentioned.
Phenomenal soundtrack. So, this week that we're recording...
This is very exciting,
What day is it? 15th. We put a tweet out about you voting for what you want us to do a film review of. We're going to be starting a Nostalgia Bit film club. Name, patent pending.
No, we're doing that. I think that's good.
We're doing that. We're logging it in.
It's for next week. We decided we wanted to do... We've done a lot of sort of general discussions and general topics. We want to try something new. And we're going to try doing a full review of one film and discussing that in excruciating detail.
Yeah.
But it's a nice idea because we talk about a lot of films and a lot of projects and stuff that we haven't maybe seen recently, that we're kind of reminiscing on or thinking back to and going, I haven't seen that in a while, but I remember this, and this. The idea of Nostalgia Bit Film Club is you guys vote for the film you want us to watch, we watch it, and then we record. And that's exactly what we're doing next week. And we are going to be reviewing Shrek. We wanted
the original, 2001.
2001. We wanted to go for films that we sort of grew up with, that we are nostalgic for, and that's kind of the point of it. You know, the podcast is Nostalgia Bit. We're talking about stuff that's nostalgic to us. We're talking about these things, but there's a lot of things that we don't really get a chance to talk about. And although Shrek is quite a topic at the minute, which we'll touch on. It's something that we would never really come round to if not. So very exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Tune in next week to hear what we think about the original Shrek.
Yeah.
Make sure to check out TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of the social medias. Make sure you cross-platform as well. If you're on YouTube, go and check out Spotify. If you're on Spotify, go and check out YouTube.
Exactly.
We love you all, and we will see you next week, where I will be joined by the Shrek. George will still be with me the next week, and goodbye.
I'll be joined with my fucking talking donkey and all.
I knew that joke.
See you later.